Varana in Zimbabwe. Good morning, guys. Just to keep you updated, for the last 4 months, we've been trying to get our Facebook page back. Mapurisa Bugrekumeso, the Facebook police, saw fit to delete us. We've been cancelled and the page is gone. So we start again from scratch. Like most Zimbabweans, we are used to that. So it's not going to phase us at all. Tinongo tanga patra. Tingaite sei. Tisu irawaridzi ve-Facebook atis. Saka totaura kuti kudini. So anyway, today's topic, if you can, before we get into that, go onto Facebook, search for Brett Mvet, and give the page a like and follow again. And let's see if we can build up the same audience as we did last time, and maybe even better. So today's topic, and I was wondering to myself the other day, we've got a new political player, DUZ, Democratic Union of Zimbabwe, I think it is, I'm not too sure, led by a very capable gentleman by the name of Mr. Chapman, I think it is. Now, what I find a little bit problematic with our Zimbabwean opposition approach is that the previous election we had quite a few good players. Chief amongst them was APA, Nkosana, Dr. Nkosana Moyo. Now, we built, I wasn't part of it. They built a very good first-time opposition political party, good standards, led by very capable people, and they did very well. Now, my problem is, why are we not building on that? Now, these are people that are not your normal Chibuku and maize meal politicians, you know. These are educated men. These are people that have degrees in subjects that I don't even know about. These are people that are very capable, have led successful companies, are probably millionaires in their own rights, and they are quite principled people. Now my question is, why can't we as Zimbabweans build on one united opposition? Why are we forming countless smaller oppositions? Now, you know, obviously I expect this from your MDCs and your triple Cs and stuff. You know, these are parties that have been based upon the foundation of ZANU-PF, so we can't really expect too much negotiation or clear thinking from those kind of things. But when I say opposition, I mean people that have given it a go on their own, you know, the APAs, the Build Zimbabwe, Pastor Evans, now DUZ and all that. Imagine if those parties or those individuals came together. Imagine what a force that would be. Imagine what a concentrated force it would be. Now remember, we are not dealing with a normal country with normal politics. This is a regime, a junta, a military regime. So it's one thing to win an election. It's totally quite another thing to actually take control. Morgan Tsvangirai won in 2008 and he never got to it. So we've got these issues behind. And what we are saying is, instead of fragmenting the opposition as we are doing, tirikudi panyaya kupinda mu election pasina kana ma reforms takwenda tiri 1-1 ko tadi kubatana tumapati tudiki tuetwe kubatana and put forth one presidential candidate. I mean, why are we doing multiple presidential candidates? Are we not aware that it is better to be a minister in a governing party than to be a president in a party that wins all? I mean, is that too hard to understand, or is there something that I'm missing there? Would it not be better to have these parties, the APAs, the DUZ, the Build Zimbabwe, there's a couple of others that I haven't, Transform Zimbabwe, how can I forget? Transform Zimbabwe, and a couple of other ones. Why can't those guys sit down and agree to say, right, listen, we are forming a committee. The committee is made up of, I don't know, let's say 10 parties. And what we're going to do between us is we are going to elect a presidential candidate. Even if they elect someone who's not even in their 10, they elect a completely different individual who's qualified to lead the country. You know, that would be the way to go. Say, because now what's happening is the population, me included, are beginning to suspect that perhaps these people either do not have the best interest of Zimbabwe at heart. Kana kuti vakatumwa neregime kuya kuzodivide opposition. Those are that's what's now becoming the question. The question is why, if we can see it, I mean, the differences between Transform Zimbabwe, APA, Druzi, Build Zimbabwe, the differences between those four parties is probably 5%. And it's probably related to some obscure little something on a subject that doesn't even matter, to be quite honest. And yet avakwanisa kubatana vanhu ivavo. Chii chiri kuita kuti vasabatane vanhu ivavo? Chii chiri kunetsa kuti vanhu ivavo vasabatane? You are asking us to vote for you because you are going to bring a better Zimbabwe. Now, part of bringing a better Zimbabwe is you're going to have to speak and negotiate with hundreds of people, hundreds of groups, religions, tribes, businesses. So if you don't have the skill kutaura muri 10 zvenyu kuti mubatane muri 10 muri kutadza kuita izvozvo ko munozogona kutonga Zimbabwe sei? That's a genuine question. Why are you now saying, no, we go to the elections one by one? First of all, you shouldn't be participating in that election because it is flawed. Do point yekutanga. Point h2 ndeyekuti if you are deciding to go and participate, why are you going to participate in Muri 1-1? So anyway, that is the question for today. And chiri kuziva kuti point yepeji iri point yaBrett Mvet is to make people think. That's all. You just got to sit down and think and ask yourself questions and say why, and get answers, and that will lead you eventually to the truth. So yes, those parties need to sit down and come up with some sort of election coalition or something, because what's going to happen is mcharowa mese 6-0. Apana kana one constituency seat in Obuda Ipap, kana one. If the end game is to make sure that you come up in a runoff and maybe get some seats in a runoff. So for example, if Duz was to get, say, 150,000 votes, or let's say 5% of the vote, let's say, and then ZANU-PF gets 40 and MDC get 42, all of a sudden that 5% is quite important in a runoff, isn't it? So is that the end game? To be part of one of those parties in a runoff election and get a couple of seats? That would make sense in a kind of way. So, you know, and maybe that is the strategy. But that 5% would be a lot more if all those smaller parties came together. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you had the little Build Zimbabwe, the little this, the little Transform, the little this, the little, and you put all of those guys together, I mean, you're not going to have the briefcase party that and it's voted for by him, his wife, and his 3 kids. We're not talking about those parties. We're talking about a party that has substance. People zikanwa vane following yavo, and they've got ideas and fresh minds and that kind of thing. So we're talking about those kind of parties. If those kind of parties can come together, that 5% will be 10%, 12%, 15%. All of a sudden, we are now political players. And those are people with principles. And if they get offered positions, no matter if it is in the ZANU-PF government or if it's in a CCC government, doesn't matter. Those people will then stand for what is true and what is right. And slowly, that's how we eat an elephant. 1 teaspoon at a time. So if that's the strategy, forgive me for assuming that you Murua Tengesi, but it still doesn't change the fact that Mufano Batan. So we want those questions answered. Why are you guys not forming some form of coalition between those opposition parties that are principled? Anyway, Moita Zoraganak to Batan.